I believe there's one greatest gift that you can give to yourself, and that is the gift to remain grounded. Because once you are grounded, you have inner peace and you are content with yourself. And I realized over time that we think that to gain inner peace, we need complicated things. And it's not about complicated things, it just lies in doing small, simple things that keeps you going in life. My name is Potaki Hlalele, and I invite you to stay with me in this video as I share with you as few experiences that helped me to be grounded and to face life with more energy, with more motivation, and with the belief that I can become the best version of myself. Let's start with the first one. There is nothing that gives me peace like empowering others. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching in terms of helping people to discover their best selves in this life. And really, what is coaching? Coaching is just to help people to have better self-awareness of themselves, to have goals that gives them clarity about their lives, to challenge them and to stretch their thinking so that they can see possibilities. Sitting down with somebody and assisting them to achieve that self-awareness, to have more clarity in their life, and for them to believe in themselves after the session. There's nothing that gives me peace like that. That's something that I live for. That's something that when I do, I really, really feel at peace and I'm content to see somebody's life changing and becoming better. And it is actually not about the process of coaching. It is about seeing that radiant smile on somebody's face. It's seeing somebody having that light bulb moment and they say, wow, I did not think about this. Or I was not sure about myself that I can be able to do that. Sitting there and looking at that face changing, that body expanding because somebody sees possibilities within themselves and they realize that they can change their life circumstances. There's nothing that really ignites me and gives me more joy because somebody has tapped into themselves and they believe that they can do better. Equally so, whether it's mentoring, whether it's just sharing a presentation, whether it's sharing a talk and somebody walks to me after the talk and they ask questions because something has landed with them. There's no experience that gives me joy like that particular experience. Let's get to the second one. I enjoy being in my garden and interacting with nature in that way. When I go to my garden and I put new flowers in the garden, preparing the flower bed and putting these new flowers in that space, I radiate peace, I radiate joy. And I started this thing as a young child, working with my mother, helping her to tender the garden. And for me, it was just an act of being close to my mother and assisting her. But over time, as I grew up, I realized that there is so much power, there is so positivity, there's so positive energy that radiates when you do that. And it's not only the act of planting flowers, but it's also about giving life to something new. Tendering that soil and preparing it and ultimately putting that flower or that plant in a pot plant and adding manure to be able to prepare and making sure that it's something that you are going to look after nature and continue to water until it has grown to a point where you're saying, this is the flower that I planted. This is the vegetable that I planted. It gives me just joy. And it's all about understanding and bringing it into life to say everything worthwhile, you need to prepare for it. You need to prepare and create an oasis, that a suitable environment where something is going to grow. And I have learned to take this activity that I'm doing with planting, working in the garden, and just apply the life lessons to my life. Because if you don't tend to that plant, if you don't give it water, if you don't give it enough sunlight, if you don't trim where you need to trim, then that plant is not going to grow. So it's not only that act, but that act of planting is something that I've learned to apply to other areas of my life. So that also keeps me grounded. Let's look at number 3. And it's a funny one for some people. I like to spend my Sundays just driving through the neighborhoods, and just looking at houses. That's something that I do constantly, and I come a long way with that. I've once shared a video of how, during one of the affirmations videos, how I ended up buying a house. And this started with me just driving in the neighborhoods, looking at these edifices, looking at these beautiful houses, and also getting inspiration from these houses in terms of what I can do there and there, there and there. And I was fortunate to meet a partner who also likes DIY and working on houses. And when we talk about some modifications there and there, we are able to revisit those. But most importantly, that's the tranquility that I get, especially on Sundays, Sunday afternoon, walking around, driving around the neighborhoods and looking at these houses, color combinations, structure of the houses, how the streets intersect, and most importantly, the trees around those houses. This is just something that keeps me. I feel like I'm in nature, even sometimes when I'm in the car. I sometimes stop my car and just walk in between these houses just to observe the architectural designs that somebody set in their house and then just produced it on paper. And also, this happens in our lives. That's how life operates. Everything starts in our minds until it is put down as a physical thing, form on paper, as an example. And then from paper, somebody is going to build it. So this is not just me driving around, but it's also to say, how can I just do little modifications of where I am in my house currently? So all of these things that I'm sharing are things that keeps me grounded and keeps me going. For somebody, it might seem as, these are houses. No, but it's about channeling your mind and focusing on this beauty that is in front of you. And you ask yourself, how can I beautify something else? It does not have to be a house, but it's just getting inspiration from this house that you are seeing. Let's get into point number 4. It's all about writing. I like writing, putting my thoughts on paper. Sometimes it starts as just journaling. And actually, that's how I started writing my first book. I used to journal every day, which I still do at this moment. And I then moved over to online electronic journals, which are not doing it for me. So I now have gone back to physical books where I journal. But I've got this journal that I put my ideas there, because there's one thing about journaling. It helps you to express gratitude. It helps you to just be vulnerable, especially with things that maybe you are not ready, or you do not at that stage feel that it's something that you need to share with people. It becomes easier for you to have a let out, some way of expressing either the hurt, either the emotional turmoil that you're going through, but also joy. So that's what I use the journal for. So I like writing. I like writing. And going back to where I started, that's how I started writing a book. Because after some time, what I do is I write, and after some time, I revisit my journal and just read the things that I have written. And sometimes I surprise myself. I ask myself, hey, are you the one who really wrote these things that you see here? And think about it. From journaling, it helped me to produce a book, because as I started looking at the pieces that I wrote, I started to see a theme. And out of that theme, I then wrote my first book. I have also started working on other books that I still haven't produced, because the thinking that I have in terms of the approach and the storyline that I need to adopt is something that I'm taking my time on, but still working on it. So it's important really to write, expressing your views, sharing your difficulties. And then after you have done that, you are at peace because you have expressed your thoughts on paper. At least you have not tried to suppress your thinking in your mind, especially things that are hurting you. So that is one of the things that I do to help me remain grounded. And helping others. The fifth point is helping others. I always say that our goals are not about ourselves. We are not in this life for ourselves only. I'm one person who believes that we are hardwired for connection. And in the process of us living as human beings, we've got to live interdependently. So helping another person is something that gives me more joy. It gives me even inspiration. It gives me motivation just to have changed somebody's lives. Sometimes when we think about helping somebody and we say we change their lives, it does not mean that you have built them a house. It does not mean that you have transferred $1 million or R1 million into their accounts. But it's small acts of you seeing somebody. They don't have to be old. For example, it could be a young person with maybe holding a bag of whatever goodies that they have, but it's heavy on them, and you say, can I help you? But I'm going to make a turn at that corner, whether that corner is 500 meters away, but you would have assisted somebody. It's about assisting somebody to let's say with their puncture, because you see that they are standing on the side of the road. It could be anything, just helping somebody and making a difference in the life of another person. It's also something that gives me joy, because I believe that we are all hardwired for connection. And I also believe that we are connected as individuals. You know, you help somebody who you don't know is connected to a friend of yours, or is connected to an aunt of a friend of yours. And later in life you meet and you ask yourself, why did I meet you? And you realize that, oh, this is the person who was I helping at the corner. And you're helping not because you want accolades after. You're helping because it's something that human beings needs to do to each other. So helping others is something that keeps me grounded. And I'm not necessarily going out of my yard, out of my space, just to look for people to help. No, it happens in the moment. I can be going to a supermarket and I see that this person needs help. Then I'm going to provide help in that particular moment. It's not something that I plan, but it's something that has become part of who I am as an individual. And that helping other people is something great. Now, other people out there in life who are not grateful that you have assisted, help them. Yes, you will meet those people, but it's none of your business the fact that they are ungrateful. Yours is to continue helping, and that is because helping others is spiritual, and I believe it's you doing what God or your creator is expecting out of you as a person. Let's look at the last one. Number 6. It's about being alone. That is also something or an experience that helps me grounded. We need time to ourselves. I said it in the last video. We need time to ourselves. It is the best form for you to reignite and to re-energize so that you can continue to be grounded. And if you don't create that space for yourself, nobody's going to create it for you. So those are the things that I do to just help me to keep myself grounded. So what you need to do, you just need to go out there and find things, simple things that for you comes naturally, that resonate easy with you, so that you can become grounded, because there is no peace or greater peace than the peace of a person that is self-grounded, because they can face the future with more energy and with more self-belief. If this video resonates with you, please subscribe and continue to share its content so that we can affect and impact others in the most positive way. Until the next video,